Hello, nerds! Thank you for joining me here on Nerd News Clips. This is the second channel. This is the place for all of the short-form content as well as the individual sections and just generally speaking smaller things. If you are into the longer form content, youtube.com/generallynerdy is the place to go see that. With that out of the way, let's get into this. To the rumor mill. Rumor mill this week we have this is a refutation, I believe. Yes, this is in fact a refutation. So we are starting things off with a refutation of a rumor that I felt like didn't really need to be addressed before, but now that we have official word from executives in charge of the project, we can, shoot this down. So Cyberpunk Edgerunners, the Netflix series, everyone's been talking about a second season. When's the second season happening? Why aren't we getting a second season? Where's the second season? It's not happening. There is officially no second season for Edgerunners. Now, I'm using my words very specifically when I say that. Cyberpunk Edgerunners is not getting a second season. That is according to the producer, Sotaru Honma, I did not say that right, one of the Projekt Red executives involved with the project, has said in no uncertain terms that it was planned originally that Edgerunners was going to be a standalone thing from Jump Street. Like there was no questioning it. But let's take that a little bit further and kind of spell this one out to you. Cyberpunk, there potentially is going to be more stuff in this universe. That makes a whole lot of sense. Just not another Edgerunner story. So will we potentially see some of those characters in a different series? Very potentially. They'll be probably secondary at best, very likely even tertiary at best. But this series did way too good on Netflix for them to not do another Cyberpunk series. It's just not going to be another Cyberpunk Edgerunners series. See, he's not lying. He's just not giving you the entire truth. So yes, there very likely will be another Cyberpunk anime. It's obviously not going to be Edgerunners. So rumor squashed. But let's get into the new rumors. First up, we have a crossover that might actually not be rumor by the time this goes live, because I feel like this one's got a whole lot of buzz behind it. But the Blumhouse crew is going a little nuts because we have potentially Freaky Friday and Happy Death Day doing a crossover movie. That's definitely a strange, not Freaky Friday, Freaky, the Vince Vaughn and I don't remember who the actresses are. I have them right here though. The actresses from both movies, Kathryn Newton and Jessica Rothe, we're in a picture with screenwriter Christopher Landon, who posted that picture to his Twitters and said something about, wonder what we're working on. Apparently the rumor is what they're working on is a crossover movie between those two franchises. Let's give this one a likelihood of probably about 70% that we will be seeing some sort of Blumhouse universe crossover movie, specifically between these two movies, but that could potentially open up a weird Pandora's box for horror movie fans. Our next rumor has to do with the MCU, and we have a potential casting announcement for Mephisto. That's right, Mephisto, the devil himself in Marvel Comics, is very potentially going to be played by Sacha Baron Cohen. This is another one that very potentially could be confirmed by the time I actually get this episode published. But as it stands right now, as I'm recording, this is very much still rumor. Sacha Baron Cohen, for those that don't know, he's Borat, he's the Dictator, he's Bruno, he's Ali G, doof, 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 is you Madonna, that guy. He's in Talladega Nights, and he's married to Isla Fisher, and dude is, he's in the Sweeney Todd with Johnny Depp, he's the other barber who Depp kills first in the movie. Yeah, that's Sacha Baron Cohen is very potentially going to be Mephisto in the MCU. This comes from, honestly, a lot of different sources, which is why I'm saying I would not be surprised if his casting was confirmed within the next few days. But is reportedly being cast in this role for the Ironheart movie, or series rather. So I don't know how exactly Mephisto factors into the Ironheart story, or if they're just going to go a little off the rails with Ironheart because, you know, it doesn't have a whole lot of pull to begin with. So, yeah, likelihood that Sacha Baron Cohen is going to be playing Mephisto. Again, so many sources are saying it as fact at this point that I kind of would be silly to go any less than like 70%, but I'm going to bump it up to 80% just because I would be very, very surprised if this didn't happen. Next, we are talking about the Hulk. So this one's interesting because this is kind of more fan theory, but also been talked about as rumor as being a legitimate way that this will happen. So the Hulk, for those that don't know, Universal owns the distribution rights for the character in the movies, which is why we haven't had a standalone Hulk movie in some time, because Feige doesn't get along with the NBC Universal, and there's a whole bad blood situation there. So the Hulk is relegated to the secondary cast. Well, with the popularity and the how well the Werewolf at Night movie special presentation thing has done, it seems that that is going to be the magic key for the MCU to get us something resembling, though it won't technically be, a standalone Hulk movie. They're just going to, according to the rumor, do a special presentation, quote unquote, that goes directly to Disney+. Likelihood that that is a thing, that's just sneaky enough to be true. So I'm going to say we're going to put generous 65%, though I'm going to correct that. Conservative 65%, because I think there's a pretty strong possibility there for that as well. Next, we're talking about Madam Web, Isabela Merced, maybe, rumored to be playing Spider-Girl, Anya Corazon, and Sydney Sweeny has been rumored once again to be playing Julia Carpenter, who is Spider-Woman. I believe actually in this, I could have misread this, but I believe the Sydney Sweeny part of this has been confirmed. So we're not going to readdress that because we've talked about that one previously. Just the Spider-Girl portion is the new part of the rumor. Anya Corazon is in the comic books, though I'm pretty sure she is an alternate universe Spider-Girl in the comic books. It's not to say she has to be that way in the movie, but very interesting for the Madam Web movie, going pretty hardcore on these non-Spider-Man spider folk. So yeah, I don't know. I really don't know where to go with this one. Not a great source, but it makes a lot of sense. 50%, because I can't say one way or the next. That's where we're going with that one. And then we got to get to that DCEU conversation that I alluded to in the movie section. So DCEU is reportedly, we have a series of rumors that are supposedly coming very soon, the announcements at least, from the DC Extended Universe. So the movie universe for the DC properties. So let's just go through this list real quick and then we'll talk about the implications and so on and so forth. So first up, we have a script is already written for the sequel to the Flash movie, though very probably, and I say that and I mean Ezra Miller won't be returning for the role. That role will be recast. But yeah, script has been written for the sequel to the Flash movie, assuming it does well. Next is Man of Steel 2 with Henry Cavill is actively seeking writers, but they have locked in Henry Cavill with a contract for that movie. And then we have the script for Wonder Woman 3 is apparently nearing the end stages of completion as far as the writing goes. And then the next one we have is another surprise James Gunn DC property. What exactly that's going to be very much remains to be seen. The leak says that they're keeping that one a little closer to the chest than normal. And then the big one has to do with the Batman. There is going to be a universe unto itself, it would seem, from Matt Reeves, creating other movies based on the Rogues Gallery from the Batman franchise. Very specifically, they named Professor Pig, Clayface, and then there were a couple of other ones. It depends on which source. This one comes from a number of sources. Depends on which source you're reading how they list the characters. But the names that I saw repeated were Professor Pig and Clayface. And that's pretty awesome as far as the Clayface goes. He's one of my favorite rogues. So, implications here. These all come from the same rumor. So the going theory for the future of the Warner Brothers Discovery movie properties as it pertains to the DC properties specifically is that David Zaslav is just setting up these pins so somebody else can knock them down come 2025 or so when he tries to sell the company off. Now, we have 5 pretty major rumors, and one of those rumors being multiple movies in and of itself, potentially multiple series as well. So if that's the case, then these two theories or this rumor and that theory do not mesh well, because if they have 5 major projects in the works to some degree, if you want to believe this rumor, if they have these 5 major projects in the works, then they will not be selling in 2024 or 2025. This is the 10-year plan that David Zaslav alluded to in interviews previously. So I don't want to believe the selling it off. I do want to believe these. This is actually one of the sources for this is freaking Forbes. So there is a pretty strong possibility that at least some of this rumor comes to fruition. So let's put, we're going to put this one again, relatively conservative, 65% likely that we will get at least some, if not all of these points in this rumor. Though, I mean, kind of the Batman rumor we're already starting to see, because we got the Penguin series, we got the Gotham PD series. Both of them have been confirmed at this point, so it looks like we're already on track for the Batman rumor. I can't believe that, even though, like, yes, Hollywood types are slimy, so you don't want to believe anything they say. So when he says he has a 10-year plan and then 4 years down the road he ends up selling the company again, we shouldn't be surprised. Sure, I think that's a fair way to look at it, but I also think that that is an inaccurate way to look at it. Just because most of the time they're pretty slimy folk doesn't mean they're always lying. So when David Zaslav says, no, I have a 10-year plan for my DC properties in the movie theaters, I think we should believe him, especially when not too long after, though, I mean, he could have been the one to leak this information. Nobody really knows, except for the people involved. So take everything you will with a grain of salt. I just think there's a little bit more likelihood that he's not going to be getting this company ready to sell in 3 to 5 years versus the other option. So once again, this has been just a brief segment from the larger episode that has been posted over on the main channel, youtube.com/generallynerdy. Go over there for the long form content, or just subscribe here if you want it in bite-sized chunks. Thank you very much for joining me, nerds. We'll see you in the next one. Before we go though, always remember that if it's generally nerdy, it's probably here.